But did you marry Beyonce primarily because she was yellow? If Beyonce was dark skinned, would she be your wife? But let me tell you where black men are very guilty of participating in and perpetuating the skin color wars amongst our sisters. Let me tell you how black men are responsible. How we do, brothers, participate in the skin color wars against our sisters. Black men have a very serious light skin supremacy bias when it comes to dating within the race. We already know you got a snow bunny bias. We already know you got a snow bunny bias. We already know you got a snow bunny bias, but I'm talking about within the community. Within the community, black men, I see it every day. I see it all the time. I see it amongst so-called woke, so-called conscious, so-called Pan-Africanists. Black men have a serious, and this is global. I see it in Africa. I see it in Europe. I see it in the Caribbean. I see it in Central and South America. It's all across the states. Black men have a very serious light skin supremacy bias when it comes to mating, dating, marrying, and engaging our women. And any black man who denies that is a liar and a fool. It is bad. In fact, I think the black man's bias for light-skinned women is worse than the colorism against our sisters towards one another. I think the black man's bias for yellow and light skin is worse than our sisters' color issues between each other. And I would argue that the black man's preference for yellow skin underscores the conflict within the queendom. The black man's bias for yellow skin underscores the conflict within the queendom. It's a damn shame that after 400 years, you still got black men running around here saying they only date light-skinned women. Now, I was a Chris Brown fan, and I still like Chris Brown. But I'm hearing rumors that Chris Brown had some negative things to say about my dark-skinned sisters. I'm hearing some rumors that Chris Brown had some very disrespectful comments to make about dark-skinned women. And Mr. Sean Carter, Jay-Z, you don't get no pass. Mr. Sean Carter, Jay-Z, you don't get no pass. I remember your early music was filled with slanderous and disrespectful comments about dark-skinned women. In fact, most of our gangster rappers are responsible. Most of our hip-hop artists are responsible for promoting light skin supremacy in the black community. The rap videos are filled with yellow and pale skinned sisters. The content of rap lyrics is filled with anti-dark skin messages. I still remember hearing Jay-Z say clear as day, I only like the wavy light-skinned girls. I only like the wavy, light-skinned girls. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Sean Carter, and I'm not picking on you, bro. I respect you. But did you marry Beyonce primarily because she was yellow? If Beyonce was dark-skinned, would she be your wife? If Beyonce was a chocolate queen, would she be your wife? We're going to keep it all the way 100 tonight. We're going to keep it all the way 100 tonight. And I'm not demonizing my light-skinned family, because you have dark-skinned Africans, some of whom practice a black skin supremacy. So it gets cut. The cake gets cut both ways. I'm wondering how long it's going to take for us to give it all up. I'm wondering how long it's going to take for us to give it all up. I remember up until a couple years ago, I said I would only marry a dark-skinned sister. Up until a couple years ago, I said I would only marry a dark-skinned queen because I saw working in the schools how dark-skinned little girls were mistreated and treated. I saw firsthand in the media, even within my family, how darker skinned relatives were ignored and overlooked for brown and lighter skin. And so I said, I'm going to fix this. My queens will be chocolate. And then I had to check myself. It took me a couple years, but my ancestors forced me to check myself. Because in saying I'm going to only marry a chocolate queen, now I'm practicing reverse discrimination. I'm practicing reverse discrimination. I'm practicing reverse discrimination. And the way I know that the light-skinned, dark-skinned supremacy is so big an issue amongst our sisters is I regularly get comments from light-skinned sisters. Regularly. Book signing line, social media, professional conversation, photo session at the end of the lecture. I regularly get comments from light-skinned sisters who say, I'm too light for you. I will never have a chance at being your wife. I'm too light for you. I'm not dark enough. And I'm trying to understand, why do light-skinned black women think Dr. Umar is a black-skinned supremacist? I have never, ever preached dark-skinned supremacy. I have never, ever preached light-skinned supremacy. So I don't know where my fair-skinned sisters get this idea that they would be passed over by me because they are light. Pan-Africanism rejects all forms of tribalism. Pan-Africanists, true Pan-Africanists, not the fake phony kind that you know, but true Pan-Africanists, we do not discriminate based on skin tone. We discriminate based on consciousness. We discriminate based on commitment to the struggle. We discriminate based on loyalty to the race. I wouldn't give a damn if my wife was the lightest looking green-eye bandit you ever seen in your life, as long as she was African and loyal to the struggle. And at the same time, I wouldn't care if my wife was the bluest, blackest, purplest, biggest nosed, biggest lipped, nappiest haired, beautiful black woman you ever seen. I don't live my life based on skin tone. I will not teach our boys at the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy to ever, I better never hear one of them say something derogatory about dark skin or light skin. I had a sister tell me her mother told her this was a dark brown skinned sister. About my complexion, she told me her mother told her that light-skinned black women are nasty. They don't clean themselves. Why? Who the hell started that rumor? Who the hell started that rumor? And then the light-skinned women got rumors going around saying the dark-skinned women are smelly. The dark-skinned women say the light-skinned women are nasty. What are we doing to each other? What are we doing to each other? You know, the Honorable Marcus Garvey said something once. The most honorable Marcus Garvey said something once 100 years ago. You know what Garvey said? The Honorable Marcus Garvey said, the colorism within the black community The racism within the black community exceeds the racism directed at the black community. Did y'all hear what I said? Did y'all hear? Garvey said the racism we practice against ourselves is worse than the racism practiced against us. Now, some of you want me to stop talking about this. You're saying things like, why is this necessary? You know why it's necessary? Because Negroes like you, who would rather sweep it under the rug so it is never exposed and dealt with. Insecure, coward-ass ninjas like you, who are guilty of light-skin supremacy, guilty of dark-skin supremacy. You don't want me to talk about it because you know you practice it. Your family practices it. Your mother practices it. Your father practices it. Your fraternity practices it. Let's be honest, Black Greek fraternities. Let's be honest for a minute, Black Greek fraternities, and I support Black Greek fraternities. I'm not a member, but I support my Alpha brothers. I support my Omega brothers. I support my Sigma brothers. I support my Kappa brothers, my Iota brothers, my Groove Phi Groove brothers. I support my Alpha Kappa Alpha and my Delta Sigma Theta and my Sigma Gamma Rho and my Zeta Phi Beta. I support it. But let us be honest. Once upon a time, you couldn't join none of them if you couldn't pass a brown paper bag test. Let me say it again. Let me say it again. Once upon a time, you could not be a member of the Divine Nine if you did not pass a brown paper bag test. And to this day, some chapters of some of those fraternities and sororities still practice a strict paper bag rule. You got Black church congregations that are organized along the color line. You got Black churches right now, you walk in, everybody all chocolate, everybody all caramel, or everybody all light skinned. You got Black nationalist organizations. Oh yeah, we're going to keep it all the way 100. We're going to keep it all the way 100 tonight. You got Black nationalist organizations who claim to love Black people, who claim to be about Black power. And when you look at the color of their membership, oh yes, I'ma go there. Oh yes, I'ma go there. There's Black nationalist organizations who claim to be about Black power and Black upliftment, but when you look at the color of their membership, you rarely find chocolate Africans in this so-called progressive Black organization. Oh yes. You got Black nationalist leaders who are light-skinned supremacists. Oh yes. Oh yes. And we can talk about light-skinned supremacists and dark-skinned supremacists. But guess what? We even got hair texture supremacy in the African race. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. We got hair texture bias in the Black community. So a sister might be light-skinned, but if she got that Dr. Umar grade, if she got that Ifa Tunde Ninja Bush grade, she might still not be allowed in the social group because your skin is light, but your hair is too curly. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And depending on the bougie ass social group you belong to, depending on the bougie ass black nationalist organization you belong to, depending on the bougie ass fraternity or sorority chapter you belong to, you might get in being dark skinned with straight hair before you get in being light skinned with nappy hair. I said you might get in being dark skinned with straight hair before you get in for being light skinned with nappy hair. And you know what's sad about all this? And do you know what's sad about all this? We have Neanderthals invading the feed. This is a conversation amongst Africans. If you are not a member of the African race, snow bunnies, I'm going to respectfully ask you to disengage from the chat. This is not a conversation that you need to be a part of. Bunnies, be out. Bunnies, be out. Neanderthal ice-dwelling cavemen. This is not a chat for you. I'm going to respectfully ask that you exit left as well. Anyone on here who does not consider themselves African, including black people, my pretendian community, this is not for you because you don't consider yourself one of us. You are a pretendian. You can exit left. You can exit left. All I'm not from Africa Negroes, please get off the chat. This is not for you.